Good morning. I want to thank, first of all, Karen Deanspear, the Freemans, and the folks at LAFTA for our musical guest this morning. It is with no small amount of pleasure and delight for me to introduce, from New York City by way of Tennessee, Diana Jones.
Thank you. Good morning. During the summer of 2018, when families were being separated at the Mexico-U.S. border, I couldn't stop writing songs to somehow express or make sense in a small way of what was happening, which resulted in my latest project, a song cycle of stories about refugees. So I'm going to start with the title of that, which is Song to a Refugee. Song to a refugee, song to us all. None of us know where our footsteps will fall. What will become of the place that we love, the place we think of as home? Song to a stranger in a strange land, running from danger from where it began. Seeking asylum one day it could be, our neighbor, our loved one, our own family. Pleading for kindness, some won't reach the shore. The ultimate cost of war. Song to the children, hungry and cold. May you be happy and full and grow old. The story is long, it's a story we know. Forever it follows a hard, weary road. The journey begins for the day it will end. Over and over and over and over again. Remember a street on a clear sunny day when peace walked beside us, we felt we were safe. Song to a refugee, song to us all. None of us know where our footsteps will fall, and what will become of the place that we love, the place we think of as home. What will become of the place that we love?
Every week we open our service by lighting our chalice. This morning's chalice lighting words are by Katie Kandarian Morris. Here we have come into this sacred space, quieter now with our readiness, hushed voices, hoping, trusting for so many things, for connection, for communion, for inspiration, for information, for healing, for wholeness, for words, for music, for celebration and consolation. Here we have come into this space bringing all of who we are. Let us be willing, however we are changed.
Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Lincoln on this Sunday morning. My name is the Reverend Oscar Sinclair. I'm joined in the chancel this morning by our worship associate, Jamie Radcliffe. The Unitarian Church of Lincoln aspires to be a loving community, uniting reason with spiritual experience to transform ourselves and the world. We have a big vision here. And we know that creating a loving community begins with welcome. So whether this is your 500th time here or your first, if you came here hopeful or heartbroken, whatever your age, gender, skin color, whomever you love, you are welcome here. We say that we are about the work of transformation. That transformation looks big sometimes. It looks like working for justice in the world. That transformation looks very practical sometimes, figuring out how we are going to meet and in what ways, and what the risk dial being in green means for the Unitarian Church of Lincoln. So at the beginning of our worship time together, we're going to take a brief digression into that. As you likely know, this week the Lincoln-Lancaster County Department of Health announced that the COVID numbers have continued to drop here in Lincoln. And as such, they are moving the risk dial into green, or low risk, and they are ceasing weekly updates for now. If numbers start going up, they'll backtrack on that. So for us, what that means is that we are during the week and for rentals, we are not going to require masks. So if you're here on a Tuesday night for a small group, or a Tuesday afternoon for bridge, or a memorial service on a Saturday, we're not going to require masks. We are going to continue requiring masks for now on Sunday, and there's an important reason for that. Churches are multi-generational communities. It is nowhere more obvious than Sunday morning. So on Sunday morning, when we have kids under 5 who are not yet vaccinated, running around the sanctuary with folks who are 80 and vaccinated, we want to make sure that we are as safe as possible in both directions in that moment. So for Sunday morning, for right now, we're going to continue to wear masks while we're together. The exception is if you're sitting at a table drinking coffee after service, then by all means, do not try and drink coffee through your mask. We're happy to answer any questions about that after the service. There's a reentry team meeting on Wednesday. I'm sure there'll be lots to talk about. And thank you all for being on this ride with us the last 2 years. This is the first time we've had this many chairs in the sanctuary in years, or this many people. So it is good to see you. All right. With that diversion done, let us enter into worship with music. So our first hymn will be Morning Has Come. We're going to sing this as a round, and I believe I am turning it over to people who can sing better than I can, which is all of you, to be clear.
Good morning. Please rise in body and or spirit. We will sing together a couple of times and then do it as a round. You want to play it once? Go ahead. We want to play it through once just to get the tune in our head. Great. Yeah. Morning has come, night is away. Rise with the sun and welcome the day. Morning has come,
So now I get to invite Gene Helms to come forward. So Reverend Frank Clarkson wrote, "When we have the courage to rest, and for some of us it will take courage to rest and do nothing for a change, then we start to see what at least some people have always known, that under the surface there is a silent and invisible life, that we are made to be in touch with this mystery, to rest assured that beneath the work and the struggle of this life there is more going on, and we miss it if we only live on the busy surface of things." So Gene, you're going on sabbatical. For those that don't know, our administrative director, Gene Helms, is leaving starts a 3-month sabbatical on April 1st. So this is her last Sunday with us for this spring. Sabbatical is on one hand a particularly UU tradition tied as we are to academic calendars, but it is one with ancient roots. In Genesis opens with God working for 6 days and then resting on the 7th. In Hebrew scriptures, there's a commandment to let the fields lie fallow in the 7th year, to let them rest and rejuvenate. It's this latter example that becomes the concept of a sabbatical. An opportunity to take some time for rest, to get in touch with the mystery that Frank Clarkson writes about. And for the congregation, for the rest of us, each time, it's an opportunity to embrace the ministries of the church. Last time it was religious education, as Chelsea Krafka took a sabbatical. Next time it's me. This time it's Gene. In doing so, each time we get a better sense of the scope of work that staff at the church do, and a sense of ownership over the ministries of the church, a partnership with the staff member who's here or on sabbatical. So Jean has told me about her plans, both to stay home and travel in the Northeast, which is one of the most beautiful places in late spring and early summer in the whole world, to rest but also to learn. So Jean, as you leave on this journey, a gift for you. So notebooks. There are about 6 of them in there, and I want to say that there are 2 ways that these notebooks might come back to Lincoln. One is full, bursting with ideas, bursting with thoughts, bursting with ideas from getting in touch with the mystery. That will mean that you have been on an adventure. And the other way that they might come back to Lincoln is blank, which means you will have rested. And that too will be blessed and good. Either way, we love you. We wish you well. The church is in good hands for a few months. I have promised not to burn the church down while Jean is gone. We look forward to hearing what you've been up to when you come home. The second gift was supposed to be a CD of music by the Reverend Dan Schatz. Seems like that is stuck, maybe in the Suez Canal. But Dan graciously gives permission for UU churches to share his pieces in worship. So we're going to have one of those pieces, and then if you want to say any words after the song, you are welcome to. But for now, let's play that piece.
Leave time for the turning of the season. Leave time for the longing of the day. Time for the heart, time for the reason. Time for the quiet of the way. Come sit by my side and share a story, one of a love too deep to find, one of a sailor wending homeward, one of the echo of your mind. Leave time for the turning of the season. Leave time for the longing of the day. Time for the heart, time for the reason. Time for the quiet of the way. After the hurry comes the harbor. After the journey comes the rest. Trade rushing for the rushing of waters, through fields lined with burrows, banks and nests. Leave time for the turning of the season. Leave time for the longing of the day. Time for the heart, time for the reason. Time for the quiet of the way. May all your travels bring you comfort. May all your loving give you song. May all your learnings leave you open. May all your rambles lead you home. Leave time for the turning of the season. Leave time for the longing of the day. Time for the heart, time for the reason. Time for the quiet of the way. Time for the quiet of the way.
Is this thing on? I just found out about this a couple days ago, and I've been joking with my wife about how I knew that Oscar was going to try to make me cry. And most people I told that to said, that won't be too difficult. I think I did okay, though, so far. I think I'll save the tears for the flower communion video that always just makes me sob. I'm not shy about telling you that. But I do mainly just want to say thank you. I feel so lucky to work here and work with the people I work with, staff and members and friends included. And I don't know of any other UU congregation right now. I'm sure there are a few that offer sabbaticals to anyone else besides their minister. So thank you, because you all voted to make that happen, and the personnel committee made that happen with Oscar. And also thank you to everyone who's stepping up during my sabbatical. And there are a lot of you. I'm not going to try to name them all. I've named them in the newsletter. There will be lists in the office so that you know who to ask for specific things. And I think we've done a pretty good job of preparing everyone. We'll see. But thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you in 3 months.
Anyone would like to come forward for the story, you're welcome to do so now. Our story today is called Love. In the beginning there is light, and two wide-eyed figures standing near the foot of your bed, and the sound of their voices is love. A cab driver plays love softly on his radio while you bounce and back with the bumps of the city, and everything smells new, and it smells like life. Love, too, is the smell of crashing waves and a train whistling blindly in the distance. And each night, the sky above your trailer turns the color of love. In a crowded concrete park, you toddle toward summer sprinklers while older kids skip rope and run up the slide. And soon you are running among them, and the echo of your laughter is love. On the night the fire alarm blares, you're pulled from sleep and whisked into the street, where a quiet old lady is pointing to the sky. Stars shine long after they've flamed out, she tells you, and the shine they shine with is love. But it's not only stars that flame out, you discover. It's summers too, and friendships, and people. And one day you find your family nervously huddled around the TV, but when you ask what happened, they answer with silence and shift between you and the screen. In your dream that night, you're searching for a love that seems lost. You open and close drawers, lift cushions, empty old toy bins, but there's nothing. You wake with a start in the arms of a loved one who bends to your ear and whispers, "It's okay, it's okay, it's love." And in time you learn to recognize a love overlooked, a love that wakes at dawn and rides to work on the bus, a slice of burned toast that tastes like love. And it's love in each deep crease of your grandfather's face as he lowers himself onto an overturned bucket to fish. And it's love in the rustling leaves of gnarled trees lined behind the flower fields. And it's love in the made-up stories your uncles tell in the backyard between wild horseshoe throws. And the man in rags outside the subway station plays love notes that lift into the sky like tiny beacons of light. And the face staring back in the bathroom mirror. This, too, is love. So when the time comes for you to set off on your own, heavy winds will sweep past your building, and great gray clouds will congregate above. Your loved ones will stand there like puddles beneath their umbrellas, holding you tight and kissing you and wishing you luck. But it won't be luck you'll leave with, because you'll have love. You'll have love, love, love. And that is the end of our story. And as our next song plays, I invite our children to head back to their classroom.
Again, why don't we rise in body or spirit, and we'll sing For the Beauty of the Earth. For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies, source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of ear and eye, for the heart and mind's delight, for the mystic harmony, linking sense to sound and sight, source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the wonder of each hour, of the day and of the night, hill and vale and tree and flower, sun and moon and stars of light, source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of human care, sister, brother, parent, child, for the kinship we all share, for all gentle thoughts and mild, source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise.
A central part of our services is the time we join together as a community to mark the moments of our lives. We share with one another our joys, our sorrows, the events that mark the steps on our journey. The threads of sorrow and those of joy are intertwined in the fabric of our lives, present for all, remembered by all. We share these threads, and thereby they are woven together with those of others in our community. Our joys are shared and magnified. We are comforted in our sorrows. I invite you to type into the chat if you are watching the live stream, or speak into this shared space your name or the name of another you wish remembered in sorrow. Sue Thornton Milner's family. Jesse. Lacey Lynn. Deirdre. Lloyd. Cameron Freeman. BJ. Andy Wilson. From the live stream, Amy Miller says, Mom. Christine Davis says Meredith. Elizabeth Helms, but is that Jean? Yes. Okay. Jean says Michelle H. And Marcia Cedarwall says, Joy, my cancer marker is still great after 10 years. I will continue to monitor the chat from the live feed, but I now invite you to type into chat or speak into this shared space your name or the name of another you wish remembered in joy. Say that again? Katrin.
Clarence and I have been married 37 years.
Congratulations. That is wonderful. Choir is starting again. And from the live feed, we have Earl Kramer says, yesterday we celebrated the 98th birthday of Mary's aunt. And Karen Hafer says, Joy, the annual auction is on. Donations accepted online starting April 1st. Kelly Ross says, Joy, my nephew, is walking in his first drag show today. So. Not every joy nor every sorrow can be shared. Whether your joy or concern has been voiced into our communion or remains yet unspoken, please join with me in the sanctuary of shared silence. Thank you for your presence.
Continuing in the spirit of prayer or meditation, this is a prayer written by the Reverend Sean Parker Dennison, in praise of praise. Yes, even now, when so much is broken. Praise tears that will not be held back. Witness to the immeasurable beauty of the smile of a 6-year-old gunned down by those who praise nothing. Yes, even now, when so much is at risk, praise the blood that pulses, its systole and diastole rhythm dancing to and from the heart, even when the sky is smoke and our masks have become an ordinary necessity. Yes, even now, when so much is struggle, praise bodies that sweat and tremble, muscles tense with embodied comprehension that we are headed the wrong way, and the irresistible urge to change direction, the glorious, clumsy, prodigal return. Yes, especially now, when so much is at stake. Praise something, anything, so alive and extravagant that it awakens and calls you to abandon despair, abandon apathy, and praise whatever brings you back to life. Our next hymn is I Know This Rose Will Open. Each week we take up a collection to support the work of this church and our partners in the world. As the ushers come forward, you're invited either to pass the plate or to text 73256. Text UC Lincoln and the amount you wish to give to 73256. It's only a year that I've been saying that. The offering will now be gratefully received. And we'll have another piece from Diana, which I am excited to hear.
So it's interesting how songs can change. I wrote this before the pandemic, but it seems that it comes from a whole new perspective now. It's called Humble. Life made you humble, all the living and dying, the coming and going, and the way we keep trying. Time wore you down, longer nights came around, and where the edges were harder, the days made you softer. Born in a blaze of glory, determined to write every word, every line. Sundown, you had everything, you woke up to nothing. It all slipped away when you weren't looking. Now you wish you could sleep one more night in that peace with the one that you love breathing beside you. Born in a blaze of glory, determined to write your own story. Again, love will find you as it finds us all, with a twist and a turn before the curtain falls. You were born in a blaze of glory, determined to write every word, every line of your story. Life made you humble, all the living and dying, the coming and going, and the way we keep trying, in the way we keep trying.
Our reading today is by Daniel Landinsky, rendering a a Farsi poem by Hafiz. If it is not too dark. Go for a walk if it's not too dark. Get some fresh air. Try to smile. Say something kind to a safe-looking stranger if one happens by. Always exercise your heart's knowing. You might as well attempt something real along this path. Take your spouse or lover into your arms the way you did when you first met. Let tenderness pour from your eyes the way the sun gazes warmly on the earth. Play a game with some children. Extend yourself to a friend. Sing a few ribald songs to your pets and plants. Why not let them get drunk and wild? Let's toast every rung we've climbed on evolution's ladder. Whisper, I love you to the whole mad world. Let's stop reading about God. We will never understand him. Jump to your feet, wave your fists, threaten and warn the whole universe that your heart can no longer live without real love.
A few days ago, my wife Stacy took a break from work to send me an article from the Washington Post entitled, "What is Type 2 Fun, and Why Do Some People Want to Have It?" This was accompanied by a simple question. Is this long-distance bike ride you've convinced me to do this summer Type 2 fun? This is new language for an old debate in the Sinclair family, because one of the first times Stacy met my parents was actually right after one of the first times I preached. We were in Baltimore having brunch right next to the First Unitarian Church of Baltimore. And she asked my family and I what family vacations were like growing up. And we told her over a very civilized brunch about the time we all got hypothermia on the side of a mountain. The time we ran out of water on the side of a different mountain. The time my father nearly burned down Yellowstone National Park again. And the time we were trapped in a crowd in Krakow, Poland on New Year's Eve. We finished with this story. Sometime in the early 2000s, we were canoeing in the Shenandoah Mountains in Virginia when we were caught in a cloudburst. The temperature dropped down into the 40s, hail started falling, and lightning meant that we had to get off the water immediately. So we ended up in a cow pasture, huddled together. And my little sister, all of about 9 at the time, looked down shivering, saw she was standing in a pile of cow manure, looked up at the rest of us and wailed, "You know, some families don't spend their whole vacations wishing they were over." Our theme for this morning is joy. Stacy and I somehow continued dating after that conversation, even though she was and is very clear in telling me that this is not a style of family vacations that she expects us to pass on. She much prefers Type 1 fun. Here's how the Washington Post made that distinction. A fun scale is used by outdoor enthusiasts and endurance junkies to describe the kind of enjoyment they get from their adventures or misadventures, as the case may be. Type 2 fun can feel terrible while you're doing it, like climbing up a mountain on a cold winter's night or running a 100-mile race. But when it's over, your memory erases the miserable parts and you would do it again. For fun, of course. And on this scale, type 1 fun is an activity you're sure to enjoy, and you do. Think sharing a meal with friends, going to the beach for just a day to chill, or downhill skiing using the chairlift like normal people do. Type 3 fun is actually not fun at all. It's often described as harrowing, like getting dangerously lost in the wilderness or trying to swim across the Atlantic. It often involves search and rescue, prayers, and vows that you'll never do it again. But type 2 fun is the sweet spot. It challenges you without putting you in danger, and it's often uncomfortable, but in ways that make you feel alive. REI's mountain climbing blog describes type 2 fun as miserable while it's happening, but fun in retrospect. It begins with the best intentions, and then things get carried away. My family vacations had a lot of type 2 fun in them. So last week, we talked about the hard experiences of life, the harrowing experiences of life. Type 3 experiences, things that aren't fun at all. Experiences that we finish and we're glad to never do again. But that's actually not all that life is. Through this month, we're talking about what it means to renew faith. And to do that, we need a healthy serving of joy, of fun, of love. And just like the many kinds of love in the story that Chelsea read this morning, there are many kinds of joy in the world, many kinds of fun in the world. We miss something when we discount all the experiences that can, maybe only in retrospect, bring us joy. Last week, I was invited to speak at Out Nebraska's Undersea Soiree at the Bay. This queer prom is a self-described chance to dress to the nines for an evening filled with good friends, good music, dancing, astrology readings, a photo booth, and celebrating our queer identities. I cannot wait to go to this thing. I have picked out a blue velvet jacket. After all the mess of the last few years, the invitation to spend an evening simply in joy is one that I feel in my bones. This is strictly type 1 fun. This is an activity I am sure that I will enjoy. And it's also a kind of resistance to what we were talking about last week. Sean Parker Dennison writes in praise of praise, even now. Over the last 2 months and 2 years, we have spent uncounted hours anxious about the world, angry about what's happening in our city, sad about the war in Ukraine, worried about what comes next with COVID. So to intentionally cultivate joy, to do that on purpose, with feeling, is another way of saying we are renewing our faith. This Thursday is Transgender Day of Visibility, and it is striking that in the midst of anger and hate, we are celebrating this week in joy with a soiree. Because to cultivate joy, to renew faith, is necessary for any work that we hope to achieve in the world. So often when we are trying to find the capacity to do more, we try and find some kind of complicated formula for success. If I balance my life in this way, I can fit in the kids' activities on Monday night, volunteering on Wednesdays, laundry can happen in this 40-minute break, and if I do all of that, I'll be able to take the day off on Friday instead of spending it at home writing a sermon. Clearly, this is not a hypothetical example. But what that example misses, and when I get into that in the week, what I miss is that renewal is not a question of balancing all the must-dos in such a way that we are able to do most of them. It is instead about doing the basic things well. Don't forget to drink water and some sun, the joke goes. You're basically a houseplant with complicated emotions. Or, somewhat more poetically, here's Giles Deleuze, who writes, "We're riddled with pointless talk, insane quantities of words and images." So it's not a problem of getting people to express themselves, but of providing little gaps of solitude and silence in which they might eventually find something to say. Repressive forces don't stop people from expressing themselves, but rather force them to express themselves. What a relief to have nothing to say, the right to say nothing, because only then there is a chance of framing the rare and even rarer thing that might be worth saying. Resistance requires rest. Joy requires rest. Hope requires rest. Drink water. Get sun. I would add, get sleep, get good fun, move your body, find little gaps of solitude and silence. And even within that simplicity, the houseplant approach to renewal, joy takes many forms. I am a product of my family. There's plenty of renewal for me that is probably type 2 fun. A hard workout is rarely fun in the morning, but sitting in the moment, sitting on the back porch with a beer and after an hour of burpees and deadlifts, that feels great. Stacy, on the other hand, would rather be on a beach somewhere, preferably with a drink served in a hollowed out pineapple. I am coming round to that position. So just like we might have a taxonomy of fun, type 1, type 2, we might also have a kind of taxonomy for spiritual renewal. I'd suggest as a start that there is a difference between solitary renewal and communal renewal. And that just as we are drawn to different kinds of fun, we are also drawn to different kinds of renewal. Solitary renewal is what we often think about when we think of renewing faith. Right? Those moments frequently seen in movies when the hero goes off on a long pilgrimage or disappears into the wilderness to find themselves. It's an introverted path. It's one that I know pretty well because it doesn't have to be big or long. For me, it looks like going on a bike ride or playing a game of golf with nobody else around, or just spending time in the quiet with my own soul as company. But we might also think about communal renewal. It is, after all, what we do every time we come to church on Sunday morning, right? It is what we are doing right now. We gather together with a group of people and do something together because it will deepen our joy. We go dancing. We go to a game night on Friday night. Also time with family. Renewal grounded in relationship is distinct from that solitary spiritual renewal. So we could go even further than this. If I had a whiteboard, I would set this up as a matrix, right? With type 1 and type 2 fun, and solitary and communal renewal. I thought about doing this on the screen, but you don't actually want to see that. Anyway. Category 1, solitary renewal, type 1 fun. Laying in a hammock, reading a good book in the backyard alone. Solitary renewal, type 2 fun. Training for a marathon. Not fun in the moment, fun in retrospect. Communal renewal, type 1 fun. Game night at the Unitarian Church of Lincoln. Is it the third Friday or the fourth Friday? Fourth Friday of the month. Communal renewal, type 2 fun. This one took some time for me to figure out. What is a communal experience that is miserable in the moment and that you remember and enjoy. Going to a Baltimore Orioles game. In the moment, it's an experience of collective suffering, but one that you remember fondly. A sabbatical, like the one that Jean is starting next week, has opportunities for all four. The point here is this: everything that we said last week is true. Often the world is a terrible place, even if we keep that from our children. Despair is an easy place to fall into, and we don't want to fall into the equally easy trap of chirping on about good bones papering over the hard spots of the world. But it's March. There are tulips coming up outside. Baseball season is about to start, and if that means that Orioles fans have resigned ourselves to another losing season, we're gonna have fun doing it. I don't know if this moment of low COVID numbers in Lancaster County is the end of the pandemic or a lull, but either way, it is good to take advantage of it and be together, to see each other. We are about the work of love, so that is what we are renewing every time we gather together, every time we spend some time intentionally alone. And that work, that is important work. Sean Parker Dennison writes that to invoke love is to ask for a hug from a thunderstorm. Spill tea in the lap of the infinite trickster to make the biggest, most embarrassing mistake of your life in front of everyone that matters. To invoke love, as we will, is to never know if it will come softly with the nuzzle of a beloved dog, or pounce right on your chest with the strength of a lioness protecting her cub, her pride, her homeland. To invoke love is to take the risk of inviting chaos to visit the spaces you spend so much time making tidy, and watch as the breath of life scatters away everything you have just folded and put away. To invoke love is to allow for the possibility that your words and actions might be so empowered you can no longer believe in apathy or the self-righteous idea that nothing can change. To invoke love is to give up self-deprecation, false humility, pride, to consider yourself worthy to be made whole, willing to encounter love that will never, never let us go. To invoke love is to guard against assumptions, take care with our words and practice forgiveness, not as an ethereal ideal, but right here in the messy midst of our imperfect lives. To invoke love is to approach each day and each person with wonder, anticipating love's arrival. Is this the moment? Is this love's grand embrace? Is this person the embodiment of love? Am I? To invoke love is to play the fool, the one more concerned with loving than with appearances or reputations, the one ready and willing to be vulnerable, abandoning everything that gets in love's way. To invoke love is to be ready to become love, here, now, in everything that we do. Are you ready? So let us invoke love. Let us invoke joy. Our next hymn is number 327 in the gray hymnal, Joy Thou Goddess. If you would, rise in body or in spirit.
Joy, thou goddess, fair, immortal, offspring of Elysium,
I have no idea what was on the screen right there, but I will tell you that I remembered as I opened the hymnal that has a third and fourth verse in German that I was very much hoping that we would not sing. There is joy in being together. It is good to be here. It is good to depart from this space knowing that we will be here again in a week. May you go in peace. May you go in kindness and go in faith. Amen.
Thank you all for having me today. This has been really wonderful. It's a real treat when I'm on the road doing shows. I did a show last night at LAFTA, but it's a real treat to be able to come here on a Sunday morning, be with you all. So I'm going to leave you with my happiest song. I write a lot of songs when I'm sad and they cheer me up. So this is called Better Times Will Come. Better times will come, better days will shine, long nights be through, love again be mine. Oh, dollars to spend, warm winds to blow, the children be fed, good news to know. Oh, better times will come, better days will shine, long nights be through, love again be yours and mine. Oh, 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 oh. The boys will be home, the girls safe in bed, no wars to win, and kind words be said. Oh, better times will come, better days will shine, long nights be through, and love again be yours and mine. Better times will come, better times will come, better times will come.
That is the end of our service. As a reminder, if you're drinking coffee, please sit at the tables in the gallery if you're taking your masks off. Otherwise, see you out there.